All right, try it again.
Start over.
Porters.
I said Potters, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is an interview, home interview at Porter's Corners, New York. It is the 18th of April 2007, approximately 3 p.m. Interviewers are Mike Russert and Wayne Clark. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
Edward F. Rolf.
When and where were you born?
In the Bronx, New York City, in the Bronx.
Okay. And when?
1917.
Okay. What was your education prior to entering the service?
Just high school.
No, did you go to one of the special high schools in the Bronx?
Yes, I went to the one where they taught aviation. There was only one or two of them. It was something new they was doing. We went to school for a week and then we worked at the airport for a week.
Okay, what airport was that?
Roosevelt, and
Roosevelt.
there was that, another one there, you mentioned the name, I can't think of it.
Floyd Bennett?
Hmm?
Floyd Bennett?
Floyd Bennett, yeah. Floyd Bennett was it. We worked on the Navy planes they had there.
Okay. Now, you ended up going into the National Guard, 1935. Why did you decide to go in the National Guard?
I didn't know any better.
How long were you? You were in the Guard from 35 to 40.
Yeah, 3 years.
Okay.
6 years.
Where did you go for your training and so on?
Oh, we went in the field artillery because I figured if I went anywhere I was going to ride. And the first camp I went to was Camp Smith. They made us infantry because they thought we ought to know how that was going on. Then I went to Fort Ontario, Pine Camp, and
Whereabouts was Fort Ontario? Whereabouts was Fort Ontario?
right on the lake there. It was right on the lake.
Okay.
Near, I can't think of the town now.
Okay.
They turned it into Fort Drum.
Oh, that, okay.
They turned it into Fort Drum, right?
I think so, yeah. Pine Camp.
Yeah, Pine Camp became
Now
Fort
it's
Drum.
Fort Drum.
Yeah. But Fort Ontario I wasn't familiar with.
Okay. What did you do in the artillery? What was your assignment?
Truck driver.
Now, when you had trucks then that you pulled the artillery pieces with, instead of did you use horses at all? Was there any horse?
No, we didn't have any horses. We used trucks. Pictures of it in there.
Okay. What kind of artillery pieces did you use?
They were always World War I. 155 millimeter cannons.
Now, you left the artillery in 1940. Why did you decide to leave the Guard?
Well, like I said, I was going to get married, and if my wife didn't like the idea of me going away to camp or something for 2 weeks, and she'd be by herself, so I give in to her.
So she wanted you to get out?
Instead.
Now, what kind of work did you do between the time you left the National Guard and you went into service? There was about 2 years. What kind of work did you do?
Well, I was working in the New York hospital in Manhattan. They were training me to be an electrician and also to be a refrigerator expert. Work on refrigerators. So that's what I was doing when I went into the service.
Now, where were you when you heard about Pearl Harbor? Do you remember where you were?
Where I was in New York City.
How did you hear about it?
My wife and I we had dinner for our first wedding anniversary, and when we came out of the restaurant, they were selling these special newspapers on the street, telling about the Japanese bombing.
Mhm. What was your reaction? Do you recall?
I was too young to even worry about it.
Mhm.
He told me I didn't have to worry about anything. My eyes were bad. The Navy didn't want me. They said I'd walk off the ship.
So you were drafted, I imagine, then?
Yeah, and my neighbors didn't mind how blind I was.
How did you end up, did you want to go in the Army Air Corps, or is that your assignment?
Yeah, no, I wanted that.
You requested to go in? Where did you go for basic training?
Miami Beach.
Now, did your 5 or 6 years experience in the National Guard, did that count at all towards your?
My service, I got what they call extra pay for the time I was in the National Guard. I forget now what they call it.
Okay, but in basic training in the Army, when you went down to Florida, did they advance you in rank at all, or because of your prior experience?
They did. I went to couple of different schools, and each one they didn't give any ranks out. And after I was out on the flight line working, they were sending these younger fellows from us to train. They had already had corporal stripes. They give them a stripe for every school they went to.
Oh.
The government forgot about the ones that had already gone, as usual.
Mm-hmm. So what did you do with aircraft? What was your assignment?
On the airplane,
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it needed. I went to Amarillo, Texas for the primary school on the B-17, and I went to the factory school for more training on the 17.
Was your training specialized? I mean, were you an engine man, a sheet metal man, or you did everything?
Everything.
Everything, okay.
They called it, the rating was what they called a 747 rating.
Mm-hmm.
If you had that rating, the Army wouldn't release you for anything because they had too much money invested in you.
Mm-hmm.
And when that Battle of the Bulge took place, they grabbed everybody from all these different outfits, truck drivers and all general duty men, and shipped them out. And if you had an airplane and engine rating, you didn't have to. They didn't ship you anywhere unless they wanted you. When they put me on the B-29 and sent me to California, I thought I was going over the East, Japan.
So you were assigned to a B-17?
Not
Or
one
were
in
you-
particular.
Okay.
Worked on any.
When did you go over to Europe?
I didn't go to Europe.
Oh, you stayed here.
I was in the States all along.
Oh, the whole time.
Every
Okay.
time they moved me, I went to another base here in the States.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you strictly worked on engines and whatever they needed.
Yeah.
Did you have many problems with the engines on the B-17s?
No, they were very reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
How long would an engine go before you had to strip it down and maybe did you rebuild them at all?
No, we shipped them out to these different factories where they rebuilt them.
Mm-hmm.
We got new ones to put on, the radial engines.
Now, did you live off post, being that you were married? Was your wife with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was like quality control or something.
That's where in Kansas, that's where we learned to put a little salt on watermelon that brought out the flavor.
Uh-huh.
Now, what were some of the things that you had to do with the B-17s? Were there any problems at all with them that you encountered?
Not in particular. we got these planes that were on training missions.
Mhm.
They'd make up a squadron, maybe it'd be anywhere from 5 to 10 planes, and they fly all over the country as a group, training to go to Europe.
Mhm.
And when they got all done with that training, they'd come into one of these fields where I was stationed, and whatever the plane needed, that's what we took care of. The pilot, co-pilot, and the crew chief, they wrote up these different things that they wanted fixed on the plane, and the crews were given all new clothes if they needed any. And they shipped them over to Newfoundland, and from there they went to England.
Now, were you on flight status yourself?
No.
You didn't go up on any test flights or?
By the time I felt like it.
Uh-huh.
If I had nothing to do, you could take a ride. The planes were all going up and down all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We had one group of planes come in the middle of the night. We had to be out on the runway to park them, and all we had was a sign with an arrow on it. We flashed that for the pilot for him to go down to wherever we wanted them to go, and somehow a Navy pilot got mixed up with them, and the landing lights were just about the same distance as the B-17. We couldn't tell what it was too dark, so we put him down, parked him in with all the B-17s. I think it was there for a week before they got it out again.
Uh-huh. Now, were there a lot of training accidents back then?
Not where I was, no.
Okay.
Now, where were you stationed? Were you at one base the whole time, or were you moved
No, I
around?
was in Topeka, Kansas, and Hunterfield, Georgia, and Chico, California, and Amarillo, Texas.
Now, were you yourself moved around like that, or were you with a crew that moved around?
Well, maybe one or two of us. I wasn't with any special airplane crew.
Mhm.
Although I did see James Stewart.
Oh, you did?
I saw him come in and fly in the B-25 when I was in Texas. He's, you know, a celebrity. I've run into him.
Where was your favorite place that you were stationed?
I don't know if I had any favorite space. Most people, if you're in the Army like that, you're all you're worrying about is when the hell you're getting out.
Uh-huh.
I don't have any favorite spots.
Now, what kind of barracks area, what kind of housing development or whatever did you live in? Were they just military housing?
Yeah, they were regular Army barracks.
And when you moved from place to place, your wife was able to go with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as I was on the living out at the base. And you had to have a couple of stripes too, so wherever I was moved to, she was able to go until they shipped me to California. So I thought I was going over to the East Coast.
Were you in considered in a squadron or?
Yeah, they were divided up in squadrons.
Were you-
One of them they called the 21st Bomb Wing.
Did you get to see many USO shows or anything like that?
No.
No?
No, that was mostly overseas they had them.
Uh-huh. Now, did your wife work at all while she was with you?
Yeah, she was able to get, no matter where she went, you could get a job and making things for these defense plants.
Mm-hmm. Did she work on any of the Army bases at all, or
No,
no? Okay.
no.
Overall, how were your officers?
We didn't have any trouble with officers. We didn't even have to salute them once you were out on the flight line. You didn't salute officers. Everybody was the same.
Now, when you were working on a plane, what would you wear? Did you have overalls that you wore? And
Yeah, there's a picture in that book of me. And Hunterfield, Georgia.
Well, that ain't it.
How would you rate your equipment that you had, the tools and so on that you had to work? Were they top of the line?
Oh, yeah, they had kits for each, whatever your job was. If you're a radio man, they had a tool kit for him, and
All right, this, is this a picture of you here?
yeah, over here.
Okay, and that's the overalls that you wore?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's the one on the right.
Okay, got it.
Were there any experiences maybe that you had that were stand out more than others, that were maybe kind of funny or inspirational?
I don't recall any, except for a pair of pants I had, the overalls. The leg was had a tear in it, and I used to, when I lived in Hempstead with my wife at the time, and I was working 3 to 11. We changed shifts every week, just like any job. And I told her, I said, you got to sew these overalls. I said, they're torn. The MPs are going to check it. So I used to take my work clothes and go to the base, and I'd have to change in the barracks without lights on, because all the rest of the men that lived on the base were sleeping in there. And as soon as I started to walk, I knew she hadn't fixed the leg of the damn overalls.
Okay, were there any people that you served with that left an impression on you? Any officers or any of your friends that
There
you...
was one fellow, Giordano, his name was. They called him G.I. He was a staff sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
He lived over in Jersey, Palisades Park, where my grandparents lived. He and I got along pretty good together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what rank did you become? What was your highest rank?
Corporal.
Corporal. Okay.
Now, you said you were shipped out to the West Coast on a B-29 to B-29?
We were going to work on the B-29 job.
Did you have to go to special classes for the B-29s?
No. No.
So they're basically the
They were.
engines and so on were
You
somewhat
knew one, you
similar.
knew them all.
Mm-hmm.
The B-29 was the first bomber that was pressurized and had heat in it, and if you wanted to go from the rear of the plane to the front, you had to pull yourself through a tube through the bomb bay. They had a little dolly that you sat on, you pulled yourself through the tube, and it wouldn't let the heat out of the front and rear of the plane.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever work on the B-29s? How long were you working on those?
Oh, maybe 4 or 5 months, I guess, till the war ended.
How would you compare the B-17 to the B-29?
Well, the B-29 was more modern, but B-17 was a reliable plane. It was noted for coming back home, no matter how it was shot up. Pieces missing, tails missing on it and everything. It's still they were able to bring them back somehow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, you were on a B-17 once where the hydraulics and the electricity failed?
No, no.
Oh.
The B-17 didn't have hydraulics.
Oh, okay, I'm
electric.
seeing. Oh, okay, it's all electric. You didn't have any hydraulics on it.
No.
Okay,
That had to be unusual.
yeah. Now, did you have any of your family, other members of your family in the service?
Both of my brothers were in the service during the war.
So all three of you were in at the same time. What were they? What branch of service were they in?
One was in the infantry and one was in the field artillery.
They both survived the war?
Yes.
Where did they serve?
My younger brother was served in Italy and Africa. My older brother, he was stationed in England for a while, and then when they invaded at Normandy, he was in that invasion. That's where he got picked up for the Battle of the Bulge.
Now, which was he, in the infantry or the artillery?
Artillery.
Artillery?
Finished up the war,
Oh, he was captured also?
Yes.
Where?
Hmm.
He was captured in the Bulge?
Battle of the Bulge,
When did you return home? To...
I don't remember.
Did you and your brothers return about the same time?
No, that's too long. I don't remember a lot
Okay.
of things like that.
After you left the service, did you make use of the GI Bill at all?
Yeah, I bought this house.
Did you go to school or anything? Did you use it for educational purposes at all?
No.
Mhm.
No, there was enough to do building. The house was over 100 years old.
Oh.
This room here in the garage, I built this myself. Put that on.
Mm-hmm. Now, what kind of work did you do after the war?
Refrigeration and electrical work.
Did you join any veterans organizations at all?
No. You know, I got sick of looking at veterans.
Was there anyone that you were in service with that you stayed in contact with at all? How do you think your time in the service had an effect on your life?
Well, it was, I guess you could call it educational, but I could have done without it.
Okay. Are there any other stories you want to mention that you remember?
Not really.
Okay. There's some photographs again that maybe we can focus in on. Now, this you're in this one again.
Yeah, so, yeah, this is me here.
Okay. This is you again in your overalls.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
All right. And then there's some nice photograph. Oh, now what are these?
Those are shoulder patches for the different air forces in the States.
Okay, those are the ones you were in, the 3rd and the 7th?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Now what is this with, is that
That's
you?
the National Guard uniform. Dress Washington Grays. They call the regiment.
Well, that was the 71st.
258th Field Artillery.
Yeah, they were out of the 71st New York. Yeah.
Okay.
Now is this you?
No, that's my young brother.
Your younger brother?
Yes.
I know there are some. Now these are the artillery units you were in at Fort Ontario?
Yes, that's the 258th Field Artillery.
Was Pine Camp part of Fort Ontario? Or were they two different
Well, I
places?
keep calling it Fort Ontario, but it's Pine Camp. It's on near the lake.
Okay.
But it's Pine Camp, and now it's Camp Drum.
Okay, got it.
Now, these are all World War I guns you were using, the 155
Yeah,
cannons?
yeah.
Okay.
This is my younger brother here. He's setting the elevation on the. He's got a quadrant there. When they call out the elevation they want,
That's a younger brother.
he sets it on. There's two silver pieces on the top
Okay.
of the gun that are perfectly level. And that's how they set the elevation.
Mhm.
Your younger brother was in the Guard with you?
Both of them were in the same regiment.
Oh, all three of you were in the Guard together too then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, are you in any of these photographs?
I suppose so. Yeah, that's me. And there's one of them here is me. Somebody laughing there or something, I guess. I don't know. Over here.
Okay. Whoops,
That's great.
he's here.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
You stayed stateside because of your high school.
Hmm?
Because of the high school you went to and learning avionics in the high
Just
school.
get a couple
Yeah.
more of
It was
these.
too valuable to send overseas.
Well, I don't
Okay.
know, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, well, thank you very much for your interview. Yeah, they had the Sam Brown.
Now, what unit is that? That's your Guard unit?
258.
258th Field Artillery.
Okay. Do you know where you are in that photo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put your finger on it. Yeah. There we go. Right there.
All right, let me zoom in on it. Okay, got it. Okay.
Here, you can take it. Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Access.
Okay.